Hey folks, it's Mr. Harvey here. Hey, just wanted to catch up with you guys a little bit. It's been quite a week for all of us here. We've had a really long week. We still don't have a baby yet. My wife and I went in on Monday when she was having contractions and didn't ever get anything progressed. We ended up leaving about 2 in the morning on Monday, and I'd already called a sub in for Tuesday, and so I said, well, I'll take Tuesday off and we'll see how it goes. Tuesday, we went walking. She had some more contractions. We went back to the hospital. Same thing. We got there, couldn't continue labor, and basically because our baby's still in the womb and his due date's not actually until next Tuesday, they're not really interested in inducing her or trying to push to get the baby out until Tuesday, May 4th. So we've been back to the hospital multiple times. We've had all kinds of other crazy stuff happen. My mom, who was watching our kids, went to go step out of her car after picking them up one day for us on Friday, and she stepped out of the car and tore her meniscus in her knee. And so we were actually walking to try and start labor, and I had to go drop my wife off to watch our kids while I took my mom to immediate care to get her knee looked at. And so it's just been, kind of a crazy. My identity got stolen. Two of my credit cards had to get canceled. My debit card had to get canceled. It's kind of just been a bizarre, crazy week. And so anyway, long story short, we're been at home. We're resting. My wife's right now cleaning in the other room. She's vacuuming like a mad person because she's nesting right now, getting ready to go have this baby. So here's the plan. You're wondering all this craziness has happened. What's the plan? Well, here's the plan. I'm not going to be in on Monday because either we're going to be having a baby on Monday, which could happen, or if not, Tuesday morning at 6 a.m., we're going to go in and get induced. And basically what that means is my wife is going to get induced, and they'll give her a bunch of a drug called Pitocin, which is basically oxytocin. It's a synthetic version of oxytocin, and it's designed to start contractions and push them along. And so the hope is that it will jumpstart her labor, and that she should have most of the time, and she's actually had this drug before previously with other babies, with both of our other boys. The hope is that she'd start contractions and give birth, and that we'd have a baby by the end of Tuesday. That probably means I still won't be back till Wednesday or I probably won't be back Wednesday, may not even be back Thursday, we'll see. So it's highly likely that I'll be gone again a lot this week. And I know that's not what you wanted to hear. That's not what I wanted to hear. That's not been my plan. This is not the way, things have not gone the way I wanted them to go. But I really don't have a lot of choices. And so I'm just having to try to be here for my wife, try to be here for my kids. And that's all I can do. I wish I could be there for you guys, but I just can't be right now. So I want to apologize for that. And I just want to ask your forgiveness. You showed up and had a plan that I was going to be there the whole time, and that was, the agreement that we had, that you were going to be there and I was going to be there, and I feel like I haven't held up my end of that bargain. And so I just want you to know that, if I had another choice, things would have gone differently. I would much rather be at school than kind of having to, deal with a lot of the craziness I've been dealing with. So anyway, with all that being said, I appreciate you all. I appreciate all my subs and everybody who decided to jump into sub for an hour or 2 hours or a day or two here or there. And I know having somebody different is hard for the sub, and it's hard for you guys because, we get used to doing a certain thing and then it gets changed. And I totally understand all of that. And so I appreciate your willingness to be flexible and, trying to work with people. I appreciate that. So here's the situation. I've now posted everything through the end of the semester, through the end of the quarter. And so I kind of want to speed through kind of explaining all that really quickly. And I know this is not going to be a super comprehensive explanation, but I think most of it's pretty straightforward. And hopefully I'll be back later this week so that I can help with a lot more of this. And I'll be there all next week and the next week. So I kind of just want to get you started and get you heading in the right direction more than anything else. So let's look at assignments. Now, first of all, I've noticed that some of you guys have worked really well while I've been gone. Some of you not so much. Some of you, week 5, this last week while I was gone, depending on the class, some people got a lot done, some people didn't get a lot done. So if you're a person who didn't get a lot done, you need to get your act together. because I'm starting to grade on some of this stuff. I'm going to start on week 4 stuff from 2 weeks ago here this week. Like this weekend, I'm going to try and get some of that graded. So if you're behind, you need to start getting caught up. So if you've been behind and you're at the back of the line, you need to hustle up. But with that being said, any of this stuff I'll certainly continue to take. You can continue turning it in, but I would definitely say some of you need to get to work on some of that. Okay, for week 6 and 7, I only have 2 things. The first one is the one that's actually second on the list here, and I don't know why. I posted it first, but I don't know, for whatever reason, the order's bizarre. I don't know why it does that. But anyway, it says possible topics for psych disorders project. If you click on that, you'll see here, excuse me, the instructions are right there. Basically the same instructions are at the top of the page. It's very similar. Not all of them. There's a little more detail back there, but most of it's right here. Basically, I have a little kind of explanation for what psychological disorders are, and then I have a little chart here for you to pick 3 disorders that you want to learn more about. If you go to my files and you go to week 6 and 7, you'll see that there's a PowerPoint that a lot of times I might use if I was going to lecture on this topic. And there's a few slides at the very beginning that sort of explain what psychological disorders are, why we should look at them, what are different perspectives, etc., etc. And then you'll see here that same stuff that's at the top of this page about psychological disorders are, and there's a definition, and then it talks about distress, dysfunction, and deviant. If you look here on the slide, it talks about there's that definition, and then it talks about distress. I can't talk. I'm totally not can't talk. Distress, dysfunction, and deviancy. And basically, anything in order for it to be a disorder, all those things have to be present. Okay? My wife is a little bit of a neat freak. Not in a bad way. I didn't say it was in a bad way. But my wife's a little bit of a neat freak. That's not a problem as long as it doesn't cause distress, dysfunction, or deviancy. Here's what I mean. Distress. If you are the type of person that you see one tiny crumb of food somewhere and someone tells you, hey, it's time to go to bed, and you go to bed and you get in bed and you can't stop thinking about that tiny little crumb on the floor, that's causing you distress. Like you're stressing out over something that does not need to be stressed about. Dysfunction. If you can't function, like if your job is to, write, letters all day, or your job is to, help customers all day, and instead you can't help customers because you're too busy scrubbing things, because you have some type of germophobia. Again, being cleanly is fine. Being germophobic is where we start to say, hey, this is a disorder. We need to start talking about doing something about that. Because you're not able to function properly. You can't do the job that you were paid to do, and you're going to lose your job because you can't function, and then you're jobless, and et cetera, because you can't function because you have this disorder. Deviancy means to differ from the norm. And so again, what is normal is, there's a spectrum of what's normal. And so yeah, some people obsessively wash their hands quite a bit. There are some people who are really, really gross, and if you do this, you should consider yourself to be terribly disgusting. But there's some people who go to the bathroom and don't wash their hands every time. And if you don't believe me, I wish sometime I could put a camera in the men's room, any of the men's rooms at Heights, and just right on the sinks. Because if you just watch the sinks and compare that to the number of dudes that go in and out of there, there'll be like 300 dudes a day going to a bathroom, and like 40 of them wash their hands. It's kind of disgusting. It's really disgusting. And so, that's normal. I wouldn't consider it healthy, but it's normal. Well, if you start getting so obsessed with germs that you start washing your hands 150 times a day, we would say not only is that distressful and dysfunctional because you can't possibly do everything you need to do in a day and you're stressed out all the time, but now you're being deviant. You're doing something way outside the norm. And so a lot of times people will ask me, Mr. Harvey, what's a disorder? How do you know that someone's gotten into a disorder? Those are really the 3 criteria. I know that's kind of a basic idea, but that's kind of what we're looking for. Like if you're like, well, hey, sometimes I'm anxious. You probably don't have an anxiety disorder. If your anxiety is causing you distress, to have dysfunction, and it's causing you to engage in deviant behaviors like you avoid going outside because you don't want to have an anxiety disorder, yeah, I would call that a disorder, That's kind of what we're looking for. And so I want you to pick 3 disorders to start researching and just kind of do a little basic research on. Write in a few bullet points here. What are some symptoms? What are some treatments? Why is this disorder interesting to you? Start thinking about 3 of them. Eventually you're going to pick one, and you're going to pick one of them to do this other project on right here where it says Disorders Project. That's going to be a much longer, actual project. I want you to look at 3 in the first place so you have a few different ideas. You're looking at some different things. You're learning some new stuff. Then I want you to pick one that you're really interested in and say, yeah, this is the one I want to dig into and do that project on. The week 8 stuff I'm going to hold off on. The only thing I'll say is, if you're a senior, I'm going to give you a different option. If you're a senior, I still want you to do this possible topics for psych disorders, so you dig into those a little bit. But seniors, I'll give you the option. You can either do this disorders project, or you can talk about criminal deviance, which is what the sophomores, freshmen, and juniors are going to do for their final. Oops, I didn't mean to edit. All the underclassmen and juniors are going to do this for their final. Seniors, I'll let this be your final. Oops, my thing didn't post there. But you can read up about it. I'll get it fixed and posted here shortly. But you'll basically talk about a disorder that ends up leading to criminal deviance, meaning like a serial killer or serial bank robber, something like that, who's they have some sort of mental illness that then causes them to engage in criminal activity. That's usually pretty rare. Most people who have a psychological disorder don't engage in criminal activity, but I always think it's an interesting topic for research, and kids always like getting into it. Also, a little assignment out here about cult research. Seniors, you're not going to be held liable for that because that's going to be due after you guys are gone. I'll obviously never hold it against somebody if you're like, oh man, cults are super interesting, I want to do it. I'm not going to stop you if you're a senior from doing that, but I just want to kind of give you some different options. So I'll talk more about week 8 stuff when I get back because we've still got some time before that. But at least want you guys to know what we were doing, what the plan was for week 6 and 7 this week, starting May 3rd, and then the following week starting May 10th. And then also want to make sure you guys are aware of the week 5 stuff that I see a lot of people still need to do that. Seniors, all your work is due May 14th. Okay? So anything you want to turn in is due by May 14th. Everybody else, that due date for you is May 25th. I've got a few of you who are going, oh man, May 25th is a long ways away. I'll just not really do a whole heck of a lot and then turn it all in that last week. That's a bad plan, son. If I were you, I would start turning some junk in if I was you. So if you have questions, let me know. I'm hit or miss, depending on whether I'm not. I've got stuff going on with my kids or my wife, or going here, there, and yonder. We've got appointments tomorrow. We're going at 6 a.m., like I said, on Tuesday for this induction. So I may or may not be real easy to get a hold of. But either way, let me know if you have questions. Please be good for my sub or subs. And above all, I just know that I love you and miss you, and I will see you guys later this week. Bye, guys.